Hi everybody, this is Alan from Pipe9. In this video, what I want to do is introduce you to some new functionality in SkillMe coming towards the end of this year that we're really excited about, which is called Skill.Path. Skill.Path. And I just wanted to kind of step you through our vision for what Skill.Path is all about and how it's going to add value to our users. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my desktop here. And I'm just going to go into the Skill.Path mock-up screen here and just kind of use this mock-up to introduce you to some of the capabilities that you can expect to see in SkillMe with the launch of Skill.Path coming up towards the end of the year. Now, the first thing to note is the way Skill.Path is going to be structured. It's going to be structured around supporting users in their current role, their next role, and what we refer to as their aspire role, the role that they truly aspire to do. You know, in 3 years' time, what is the role that you truly aspire to? Or 5 years' time, what is the role that you truly aspire to? And it's kind of these 3 steps, right, to get there. There's the current role step, there's the next role step, and then, you know, they get to that role that they aspire to. Now, what will happen when they come into SkillMe is they'll be able to click on Skill.Path. Skill.Path will open up. And this is what they'll be able to do. They'll be able to see their current role. And I'm just going to kind of circle their current role here. We'll surface for them their existing profile. They'll see the tabs that represent. These tabs here will kind of represent, let's say, for example, it's the specialist seller role. These tabs here represent their skill areas, and these are the individual skills in their profile. And I'll be able to see those. And then they'll be able to kind of do a little search into our data bank. And they'll be able to find skills that might be appropriate for them, that they might want to add to their existing profile. They'll be able to tick them. And those skills will then get added into their skills profile. Adding the skills, they'll be able to add skills from our data bank. And as our AI engine gets cranked up, they'll also be able to add skills that we start to recommend via Creator, that come from perhaps an understanding, for example, of the top skills that, you know, the #1 competitive company is hiring to. Those kind of types of skills might surface for people, so people can take a look at those skills. Say, you know what, yeah, that's a skill that I'm looking to add to my current skills profile, or maybe a skill associated with a stretch target, or maybe some soft skills. They'll be able to add those skills into their current profile. So that's their kind of current role view. That's their current role view. And I'll just take that out. And then there's their next role view here in the middle. In addition, what we're going to provide people is the ability to add a profile that is based upon the next role, their next role. So they'll see a carousel of skill profiles load up for them. So for example, in this carousel, we see the account manager, we see digital advisor, we see account executive. These are skill profiles that will be based upon our insight, our knowledge of roles that, for example, we know specialist roles kind of tend to take on next. You know, we'll start to be able to kind of build that pathway. We know that specialist sellers, for example, you know, 40% of specialist sellers that move on become account executives. You know, they kind of move on to become account executives. So we'll know that we can add that intelligence in through our creator application. So these profiles will start to add and will start to appear in a carousel. And also people will be able to add profiles. They'll be able to go and search for a profile, you know, can search for a profile, and they'll be able to add profiles that they search for and add those profiles up onto the carousel here. So the carousel will be customizable, you know, based upon profiles that people can search for, based upon profiles that you as creators can kind of set up in our creator application. And we'll have a little model that we use, a little kind of AI model that we're going to build out, and that model will have data that's flowing through from your insight about those roles that people generally move on to, you know, most likely roles that people move on to next, that type of insight. You know, 40% of people generally go to this role, 30% to this role, and that type of insight we've fed into the AI model. Maybe information about competitors and you know, competitive roles as well, that people tend to move on when they leave Microsoft, they go to competitors. These are the types of roles. Okay, well, let's think about that. You know, how can we avoid that from happening? Maybe we can kind of add those types of roles up onto our carousel and those skills, so that, you know, people start to see that pathway not outside of Microsoft, but also within side of Microsoft. And then there's the aspire to role over here. Exactly the same principle. People will see like an aspire role carousel will appear. Maybe a specialist seller ultimately might want to become a sales manager, or maybe an account director, or some other role. And again, going through the same process using the same type of model, what we'll be able to do is serve up aspire to roles. In Creator, you'll be able to kind of create that aspire to carousel, and based upon you building that carousel inside of Creator, these roles will appear, and also based upon the AI model that we're developing. And of course, what people will be able to do here is that they'll be able to, just as they did in the next role, they'll be able to add profiles. Sales manager, maybe account director, they'll be able to search for profiles and add those profiles onto their carousel. So people will be able to create their skill path from their current role through to their next role, all the way through to the role that they aspire to. And so our vision here is for Skill.Me to truly become the application that helps guide people through their skill development journey from their existing role to the role that they truly aspire to do in the next 3 years, the next 5 years, but all within the context of doing these roles, performing these roles within Microsoft. All right, that's Skill.Path. I'd love to get your feedback on Skill.Path. If you've got any observations, you've got any questions, you want further information, we can do further drill downs, but please reach out to me. And I'd be delighted to spend a little bit more time with you taking through more of the specifics. So that's Skill.Path coming soon in Skill.Me. Thank you.